Today, we are excited to start our new session, which is going to be focused all on how to cope with stress by doing something as simple as breathing. So, we're going to talk about how breathing can allow us to focus on relieving stress. And we're going to do that with a dynamic leader, Miss Quinnie Cook Richardson. Before we go into her bio, I do want to just remind everyone that we also celebrated Black Lives Matter week this week, where we've had students to go through and just look at some of the issues that are taking place in our community, where we had students to focus in on um, events such as House Bill 888 that is looking to change the way we address systematic racism or teach systematic racism in our schools. And while we don't encourage our teachers and students to take one perspective over another, we do allow them to seek their own truth. So stay tuned for how we're going to allow that lesson to develop. But without further ado, I want to introduce Miss Quinnie Cook Richardson, who is going to be bringing our information on how to deal with stress using breathing techniques. All right, so get ready. All right. Quinnie Cook Richardson emphasizes a holistic approach to health and wellness with a focus on healthy lifestyle choices such as nutrition and green living. She is a health conscious and certified life and wellness coach, RYT 300 hours yoga teacher, a folk herbalist, natural healing practitioner, holistic doula, vegan and raw food chef, holistic medical practice CEO, and has been cooking and preparing high nutritional plant-based foods for patients, family, and friends, and living a holistic natural lifestyle for over 20 years. Quinnie is passionate about helping people find a path to optimal emotional, spiritual, and physical growth, better health, longevity, and vitality. And don't we need more of all of that? I can have a personal testimony about my work with Quinnie and how she has saved my life with dealing with stress and anxiety, depression, things of that nature. And so I just really hope that you all be open to this session and just allow her to take you through how we can better deal with stress, especially during these times. And just if you have any questions, make sure that you keep those questions, and we'll allow some questions at the end if we have some time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Quinnie Cook Richardson. Ms. Richardson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you just fine. I'm going to go ahead and pull up your presentation.
Yeah, so before you, I want to have you pause for a moment before you do that.
Okay. Yes.
So I am very appreciative that I've been given an opportunity to have a discussion with you on stress and breath, and they kind of go hand in hand. And in my life, like many of you, I've had a lot of stress. And so it really wasn't until I became well into an adult with as a mother and as a wife, and then owning a business and just being a woman, that I sought out tools to help me heal myself. So I am a native of Atlanta. I've been living here my entire life, graduated from the city of Atlanta Public Schools, grew up in the projects, to a mother who had me at 15, dropped out of school. We moved to the projects, and it was a lot of things that happened over the course of my life that was extremely traumatic and stressful, and was very difficult to deal with. So for the students that are listening, for the adults that are listening, who have experienced a lot of trauma up to this point on their journey. I just want you to know that you are not alone, that there are many people who have experienced a lot of traumatic situations and a lot of stress and have been able to live through it. Sometimes the tools that we utilize to get us through it weren't always positive, and our parents, they all did the best that they could do, and grandparents were modeling to them, to us, just how to get through this life. And it's really challenging. I want to encourage everyone to turn their pain into power. And that is what I've tried to do with my life. And I encourage others to do the same thing. So everything that we actually experience on this journey of life that causes us stress, that is traumatic, we can turn it into power. And for me, my pain has been my greatest motivator. And when you're in pain, there's a couple of things that you can do, right? You can kind of like sit there and just be like, I'm so sad, and that I'm in pain. I'm being treated so wrong for various reasons. Maybe because you're Black, because your gender doesn't, people don't approve of it. You're a woman, many reasons why you could find yourself in just a situation where you're stressed out and being mistreated and you're in pain. And so you can just sit there and just feel sorry about yourself, or you can let that pain be a motivator for you. And for me, it became a motivator. I was just like, all this stuff has happened, one after another, after another, after another. So what is it? What can I do? And definitely there was some destructive things that I did. I mean, when I was a teenager, like really the woman who I am right now, I was that person then. But because of so much that happened to me, that was very hurtful and painful. There were just a lot of things that I acted out in a way that was very negative. So I had a lot of pain. It's getting back to the pain piece. So what I decided to do at a point in my life, which was around 30, I was just like, okay, I can just keep holding on to all the stuff that has happened to me. My stepfather did this, my mama did this, etc. Teachers, etc., who didn't hold space for me. I could just hold on to all of that and let it destroy me, or I can make it a motivator. And so that's what I did. Let me real quick. So that's what I did. So at around 30, I went on this journey of what I call doing. So around 30, I went on this journey, and I made it a focus in my life to do my inner work, to go inward and look for tools that can help me heal my life, help me to show up and be the best person that I can be. And I just became very open to whatever tools that were positive that could help me get there. I mean, I grew up just like many of you, with a Christian background, grew up in the Baptist church, and I just had this wonderful relationship with God, with Jesus as I was a child. And that's how I got through some really, really trying times. But I opened myself up to other tools in addition to what I was taught as a child and what was taught to me in the Bible, etc. That took me so far, but I just had this strong desire to like search for other ways to turn all this pain into power. And so I just embarked on this journey, which has led me here right now, speaking to you. And like I said, When I was a child, I went through a whole lot of stuff. And believe me, there were people who told me that I wouldn't even be here today. I would end up somewhere, you don't want to know where. And I'm still here. And I was able to get through it with just the innate power that is within me and that is within you as well. So within you is this powerful being that that can supersede and live through and thrive through any and everything. I mean, that's just how powerful we are. So in addition, for us, for those who are of color, for us to be here, when we're celebrating Black History Month. So for the mere fact that we are actually still alive, when you think about all that we've gone through, we didn't have any therapy. There were no counselors. There was no yoga. There was no meditation. There was nothing that our ancestors had far as tools, except for one thing. They had the strength and power and determination to survive and to thrive. And they knew that one day that we would have opportunities that they didn't have. I mean, think how powerful they were. And within you is that same power and that same energy. So regardless of whatever you may be going through right now, whoever's listening to this, whatever you may be going through, just know that you can live through it, you can grow through it. And if you allow it to strengthen you, then believe me, there's like nothing that you can't do. So stress. So definition that I'm going to use for stress, and there's many definitions out there, but stress would be, for me, any experience that can take you out of equilibrium. So that can remove you and take you from your place of center and your place of balance and your place of peace and inner peace. And for some of us, we were like, okay, well, what is inner peace? What is a place of balance? What is a place of center? Many of us have just had so much to go on in our lives that it's hard to just remember what it feels like to be centered. So what I like to do is just always remember something in my life, an experience, a person that would put a smile on my face, who loved me unconditionally. And I was blessed when I was in elementary school to have had some of the best teachers in the world. And I so respect teachers, and I just honor them in so many ways, because really, if it wasn't for the foundation that my teachers in elementary school, high school is something totally different, but in elementary school, if it wasn't for those teachers at Boyd Elementary in Atlanta, who just loved on me and just gave me, oh goodness, so much encouragement, and they just held space for me. So when I think about what is my center, if I think about them and that experience, it brings me back to center, and it just puts a smile on my face. So I want you all right now to take a moment and think about a situation, a person. It could be your pet, it could be your child, your grandmama, just someone who held space for you. When you think of them, you just think of love. They love you unconditionally. Whenever you were in their presence, it was just like you felt like you were back in the womb of your mother. You felt secure. You felt taken care of and watched over. So we all have someone, and it could literally be someone who you only came in contact with for a few minutes, and they just dropped some knowledge and just shared love with you. And when you think about them, it just brings up this feeling. So if you're able to go there, then that is what centering is. That's your place of center. That's your place of balance, that feeling. And so in order to get through many of life's stressors, we want to always go back to that place. If you don't do anything else, just go back to that place. If you find yourself in a stressful situation, go back to that place. And so with stress, there are two different types of stress. We can group into two different categories. Acute stress, which would be like, okay, you're driving a car and you're about to run a red light and you just kind of like slam on brakes really quickly. That would be an example of acute stress. It comes and it will go so pretty quickly. And then the other type of stress would be chronic stress. And with chronic stress, it's the type of stress that doesn't go away. It stays. So you had a incident like an argument, or maybe let's say you went through a divorce, or you're a student and you didn't do well on the test, and then you start like beating yourself up and thinking that, hey, I'm not smart enough, then that could put you in a state of chronic stress. So we have a slide there. Okay, so stress that can go on for weeks and months, and so it just never kind of goes away. And chronic stress can lead to health challenges. Go to the next slide. Okay, so chronic stress can go. Okay. Oh, so I'm just going to keep talking. So anyway, chronic stress can lead to health challenges because the body is in a constant state of stress. It never leaves that state and it's constant. So when we think about stress, most of us will find ourselves always in a constant state of chronic stress. And I never knew that. I don't think at one point in my life, I really did not understand stress at all. And I kind of looked at it as like acute stress, like, oh, this has happened and now it's over and I'm just done with it. But what I found myself doing, and what many people do, is that we end up holding on to all the acute stresses, and many times they turn into chronic stress. And we oftentimes don't even realize that our lives are just constantly in a state of stress. And we don't really know what it feels like to not be stressed out. And so for some of us, and especially people of color, stress can be a generational experience. It can be something that is passed down from generation to generation, and it just becomes a way of life. And we don't realize that we are like constantly, all the time, stressed out. Because some of the behaviors and symptoms of stress, we think that they are just normal. And we don't oftentimes know exactly what normal is because we've always been in a state of stress. Even, children can be constantly in a state of stress if they're living in a household that is where it's abusive, or they're being bullied in school, or an adult who has lived always in a constant state of stress then becomes a parent that is constantly stressed out and then passing that on to their children. So what we want to do, ideally, for those who are open to it, is to find other ways to be able to deal with our stress. So some of the symptoms of stress would be emotional outbursts. You can have, on the physical level, you can have heart palpitations, body aches. You can have, it can express itself as sometimes low self-esteem. And so I want you all to think about in your own life, how is stress manifesting in your life? Like, what are some of the symptoms of stress? So I want you to take a minute and think about that. Like, what are some of your symptoms? If you are be honest with yourself and you're like, okay, when I'm stressed out, I do this. Sometimes when people are stressed out, they may overeat. They may distract themselves, like some children may distract themselves, video games, or, people may go shopping, binge eating. So signs that you may be stressed on the screen here, forgetfulness, headaches. Now I want y'all to just take a look at this list and see if there's anything that you relate to in your own life. I know for me, binge eating became something that I would that I would do when I stressed out. Then impulsive behavior is another one. A lot of people don't realize that that is one of the signs and symptoms of stress when you're very impulsive. And then trouble sleeping or sleeping too much. We oftentimes will think that sleeping too much may be a sign of stress, but trouble going to sleep could be as well. Being tired, being withdrawn from public, lack of energy or focus, hyperventilating and sweating are all signs of stress. You can go to the next slide. So this slide, we're just talking about the body, and when the body is stressed out, it releases a hormone called cortisol. And when cortisol is released, it's a hormone that gives you a lot of energy, like this burst of energy. And so it makes us very alert. Our muscles become tense, and our pulse will increase because our body is thinking, hey, we're being attacked. And so you've probably heard the term fight or flight. So that's cortisol will come on the scene when you're in the fight or flight, because the body is thinking that, hey, I'm being attacked here. And so what happens for many of us is that we are, like I said earlier, in a constant state of chronic stress. So our cortisol levels are always up, like they never go down. Even when we try to go to sleep, the reason why we're not able to sleep is because our cortisol levels are up. And so when the cortisol levels stay up, it can lead to some of these health challenges that are listed here. And of course, we know in the Black community, and that, in all communities, but Black community particularly, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, obesity is high in our community. And really a lot of it is it's definitely because of the foods that we eat, for sure. But the other part of this is because of the constant stress that we're up under. So when we're up under constant stress, our blood pressure can be high. We can have heart disease, diabetes. So high blood pressure and heart disease, everyone, they lead to, are like precursors to diabetes. And then you have obesity, depression. You can have, when the cortisol levels are up constantly, you're stressed out all the time, you can get cold sores in your mouth, you can have skin problems, hormone imbalances, menstrual problems. A lot of young women are having heavy periods, and a lot of women are having heavy periods. And it is, 50% of it, maybe more, is food, but the other part is the emotional health and the stress that we're under. When you have chronic stress, your gastrointestinal tract can be impacted. So it can cause irritable bowel syndrome or stomach ulcers. It can also lead to memory loss. When you've been up under a lot of stress, and it's something that I didn't know, was that you can develop post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it's like you are like at war all the time. So you can have memory issues. And so chronic stress is just the precursor to a lot of health challenges. So as we make changes in our lives, as far as wanting to eat healthier, the emotional health and the emotional body, it really governs your physical actions. It controls like what you do. So that's why really finding some tools to help us deal with stress in our lives is really, really important. And for the adults out there, it's super important because you have the opportunity right now to make the changes that you need to make that can help you first, and let that be the motivator. And then you're able to, and we are all able to model something totally different to our children, so that as they go through life, they'll have other tools that are very healthy that can help them deal with stress and get just through this life journey. You can go on. So let's think about happiness. Earlier today, I'm not earlier, earlier in this conversation, I asked you, like, think of someone who makes you, when you think about them or experience that makes you happy. So, what is happiness? I want you all to think about this. Like, do we think enough about what happiness is? What is happiness for you? What is happiness? What makes you happy? That is important. So oftentimes we will go through life thinking that, hey, if I get the house, if I get the car, if I, have a certain career and a lot of money, that's going to make me happy. But those things, oftentimes for most people, and you ask people who have acquired all those things, like, are they any happier because of it? And I would tell you that most of them are not any more happier because of the material things. So what is happiness? And it's really an individual thing, right? So it's an individual experience. But I want you all to think about what is happiness for you? What makes you happy? And let that be where you go to. And, it can be something really simple, but I want to tell you that um, I manage this holistic medical clinic. We work with a lot of chronically ill patients, and I'm grateful to have been a support to many who have transitioned to the other side and who are now ancestors. And, we cannot take any of those material things with us. None of that we take with us. We come into the world by ourselves with nothing. And when you leave, and we all will one day transition, we're going to leave with nothing. So I want to encourage everyone to make happiness and discovering what makes you happy just as important as you have made your career or acquiring physical and material things. Make that as important, because with happiness, the feeling of happiness will create this sense of peace and calm in your body and your life. It's like a magnet. You will attract some of the most beautiful spirits in your world because you are happy. And so happiness. So next screen. And so some strategies that can help you thrive through stress. So what are some of the things that you do that can help you, that you do just on your own? And so I listed some of the things here, and I want you all to think about, like, what do you do right now that helps you get through stress? And so we have here journaling, prayer, meditation, exercising, talking to a trusted friend, going on a nature walk, gardening. And our subject for today is deep focus breathing. So those are some of the things, just a small list of things that and tools and strategies, and all of these things, really, they don't cost anything. They're all actually free. So you don't have to have money in order to de-stress your life. And of course, there are times when you are really having a hard time and you're not able, maybe some of the tools and things aren't working for you, or you don't have the tools to work with. Then I want to encourage you all to seek out help. I want to encourage the students who are listening to talk to your counselor if you have a problem. And I'm sure that, and I pray, based on what I know about Regina Wallace and the good work that Clayton County schools are doing, that you have some teachers who care about you, who have held space for you. So go to them if you have a problem. Go to someone. Don't give up. And I want to encourage you. I want you to listen to me. Do not give up. Keep going. Life, yes, right now there may be some things that are happening, and it may feel like it's the end of the world. You don't know when this is going to end or how you're going to get out of this. But believe me, from personal experience, this too shall pass. You can get through it. Reach out to someone and seek help. Okay, so let's talk a little about, and I'm going to do this really quickly. Let's breathing, some of the benefits of deep focused breathing. And so we think about breathing, everyone will say, well, I breathe all the time. If I didn't breathe, I would not be alive, which is true. If you were not breathing, if you didn't have air, you would not be listening to me right now, and I wouldn't be talking to you. But what most of us do, and which I did as well, we were not breathing properly. And so breathing, the breathing that we're going to work on today is called deep focus breathing. You're breathing from your diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle that's right below the lungs, and it controls and helps the air come into our body and exit out of our body. And so when you're using that muscle, then the breath is going to be more impactful. So deep focus breathing, it can help us relax our muscles. It can increase our oxygen, which is so important. So when people, if you ever hear people talk about like the alkaline diet and, you know, alkalizing your food and etc., the first food for humans is breath. Okay, that's our first food. When we come into this world, what do we do first? We inhale the breath. We inhale air, which has oxygen in it. And that oxygen will enrich the blood with oxygen. When you don't breathe properly, your blood is not filled with oxygen, as much oxygen as it could be. It's filled with more waste products. When you breathe properly, or the benefits of breathing is that it can alkalize the body. So when the body is alkaline, we talked about, you know, equilibrium, being in balance. When the body is more alkalized, then we are more in balance. And when the body is in balance, then it's able to protect you from different health challenges. Also, breathing properly will remove waste product. Carbon dioxide is a waste product. So we want to get some of that out of our body. So when we breathe properly, it's going to release some of the carbon dioxide. And also it give you a sense of well-being. And you can go to the next slide. When we inhale and exhale, so that's the mechanics of breathing, is that we're inhaling and we're exhaling. We're inhaling air into our body. The diaphragm, which is a muscle right below the lungs, will contract, and it's gonna like pull air into our lungs. And then when we exhale, we're releasing that air along with carbon dioxide. And so when you breathe properly, more air is gonna fill up your lungs, and then more air is gonna be exhaled. And we wanna get as much of that air out as possible, because in that air is a waste product called carbon dioxide. Next slide. And so I won't go through this, but the anatomy of breathing, we can skip that, save time. What is incorrect breathing? So when we're breathing correctly, we're inhaling air that is going to fill up our entire lung. Well, that's incorrect. Okay, so when you're breathing incorrectly, which is what most of us are doing, we're actually just breathing more into our chest. And so the lung can go, you know, it can expand really deeply and fully, but when you're not breathing properly, you're actually, most of the air that's going into the lungs is just kind of filling up the area near the chest. Next slide. And when you breathe properly, you're going to inhale fully through your nose, and the air is going to fill up the lungs. Inside the lungs are bronchioles. And so when they're filled up completely with air, that's when you're going to see that your stomach is going to rise. So when you inhale fully, your stomach's going to automatically expand. And that's because you've actually filled up the lungs completely with air. Next slide. Benefit is proper breathing. We already kind of went over that. That is going to create a state of relaxation, reduce inflammation. It's going to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is really important because the parasympathetic nervous system is where we actually can be put in a state of healing, is where the body is totally relaxed and working properly, and we are able, and it's able to heal itself. Next slide. And so we're going to go over the steps to focused breathing. When you are breathing, when you're actually doing a focused breathing, then you want to sit or lay in a comfortable position, and you just want to breathe normally. So you just want to start off just breathing normally. You want to get grounded, and getting grounded is just a term where basically you're saying, you're going to focus your attention on the present moment. And the present moment, that present moment would be, hey, I'm sitting here in this chair and my feet are touching the floor and my shoulders are relaxed and I feel my fingers resting against my leg, and maybe you hear a sound in the distance. All of that will help you to be grounded and help you to be in the present moment. And we want to have control inhalations and exhalations, and we're just breathing, which means we're just breathing at a really steady pace, and we're like taking, and you can count. Sometimes, like, it's easier when you're first starting off to count in your head count. You're breathing in for 4 breaths and maybe you're exhaling for 5. And so it's just you're taking control inhalations and exhalations. And then while you're doing all that, you are visualizing, which I love to visualize, and we'll get into that. And that's where the whole, like, thinking about someone or an experience that makes you feel like really, really good. That's where this really, really, really helps and the magic happens. So next slide. I think that may, okay. So we can end it right here, Regina. We'll go back to all that at the end. We can end the slide. So, we're gonna now go into breathing. I'm gonna go into breathing. And so what I like for everyone to do is, if you are laying down or if you're sitting, so right now I'm sitting, so we'll start with sitting. And when you are doing an intentional breath work, you want to elongate your spine, which just simply means to sit straight up. Lift your shoulders up, back, and just really get comfortable. And right now you're just going to breathe normally. Just breathe. And so I'm going to talk about breathing. So as I talked about earlier, you're going to inhale fully through your nostrils. You're going to breathe in. And as you're breathing in, that air is going all the way down the windpipe, and it's filling up the lungs. And if you're breathing deeper, it's going to go deeper into the lungs. And your belly button should expand. And then when you exhale, you can open your mouth and exhale, or you can close your mouth and exhale. Just exhale through your nose. So we're going to do that again. Going to breathe in slowly. Belly button's expanding. Lungs are filling up. Exhale. Do that again. You're going to inhale. And slowly exhale. in. Exhale out. Just love the exhale part. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to keep doing that on your own, at your own pace. And so remember, when you inhale in, that belly button should expand. And then exhale out. So what I want you to do next is I want you to put your hand, it can be any hand, on your stomach, like kind of right below your ribs, even at the belly button. I want you to gently put your hand there. And then the other hand, you can just put on your chest. And the bottom hand represents the inhalation. So when you're inhaling in, you should feel your hand rise. And exhale. And the stomach should go back to the belly button, should go back towards the spine. So let's do that again. Inhale. The lungs are expanded. The belly button is out. Exhale. Do it again. Inhale. And exhale. And when you're doing this, your chest, you should not feel much movement in your chest. All the energy, all the movement is coming from your abdomen, from your stomach, like right below your lungs. Inhale again. Just keep doing that on your own. Exhale. You're releasing all the air. And the power about the exhale is that that is where we relax. We don't relax. The relaxation doesn't happen on the inhale. The relaxation happens on the exhale. So I want you to experiment with it. Breathe in, and then you can pause a little when you inhale, maybe a second, and then exhale. Feel the relaxation. Inhale, pause, all the air out. Inhale, pause, exhale. And for some of you who open your mouth on the exhalation, I want you to experiment with closing your mouth. And for those who have been closing your mouth, experiment with opening your mouth on the exhalation and just see how you feel. Okay, so now we're going to continue with breath work. And so I I feel extremely relaxed right now. So, like literally, you can just do this. I'm guiding you through it, but you can do this on your own, and you literally can just take yourself to this total place of relaxation. And so you would use this breath work, this breathing, just normal breathing. It's not normal breathing. Remember, it's deep, it's intentional, and you would use this when during times of stress. So if you have had a rough time at school, you've had maybe an argument with your parents, because I know how teenagers are with their parents, because I have actually raised like 6 of them. And so, yeah, this breathe, 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 breathe. And if we can breathe before we even talk to someone. If we're angry, just like go someplace and just take a breath, breathe, and bring yourself into center. That's how easy this is. Doesn't cost anything. This is free medicine, your breath. So before we conclude, I just want to take you through, we're going to go through this one more time. And this time I'm going to count and we're going to start. And before we start, I want you to press your feet. If you're sitting in a chair and you're able to press your feet just gently into the ground, into the floor. This is a grounding exercise. Sometimes if I'm in a situation where I cannot just like stop and do this intentional breathing, I just simply will just press my feet into the floor. And by doing that, my body begins to get really relaxed. So I want you to press your feet into the floor. And I want you to inhale, count of 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release all the body out of the air. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this time, I want you to do it on your own. And as you're inhaling, I want you to think about someone, that person or thing that makes you happy. And I want you to inhale that happiness and that love in. And I want you to exhale and just release and just let that love just fill every cell in your body. About that person, experience, put a smile on your face. And just relax into it. And so I think that my time's up. I can go on and on, as you see. So I hope that this our time together, you were able to walk away with some tools that you can use to help you get through this journey of life, and to know that in you is this powerful spirit, and your breath is power. It is your healer. You can use it to just bring you into a place of center at any time. And I want to encourage you all to don't give up. Let's turn our pain into power and let 2022 be the best year ever. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share this with you.
Thank you so much. I'm over here like just feeling so relaxed and just so just less heavy, I guess you would say. I do have to say that one thing that I was guilty of when she was talking about signs of stress that I didn't even know I was doing until Miss Richardson kind of brought it to my attention, but it's always walking around kind of shoulders up, tense, eyebrows up. And it's something I didn't realize that I was doing until she kind of just told me, why are you so tense? And I'm like, how do you know? And she's like, relax your shoulders, relax your eyebrows, take your tongue from the roof of your mouth and just place it softly where it needs to be, and breathe and breathe. And so that's something I've started to live by. And so, Ms. Richardson, I just want to thank you again. And so with that, we just want to again ask you, please come back when we ask for your support. You're always so forthcoming. So we definitely will be asking you to join us again, because the wellness does not stop, CCPS. We want to make sure that we keep our journey to wellness in the Black community going, and in all communities going. And so we're going to share tomorrow, actually, a flyer that contains everything that we did during Black History Month, so that we can keep our journey to wellness in our community going. So with that being said, I want to thank Ms. Richardson one more time for joining us. I want to thank everyone who supported this event. Dr. Lewis, who brought us yoga at 2, and our tech departments for supporting us with streaming. My lead teachers, Ms. Winger, for really leading the efforts for Black History Month, and Ms. Love for always supporting. With that, we are signing off. Thank you so much for joining our Weekend of Wellness with Clayton County Public Schools Department of Social Studies and Department of Student Health and Wellbeing. Thank you for coming.